Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna do something simple but yet difficult. After this exercise, you should be comfortable with using a combination of some basic Excel functions. Those Excel functions are left, right, and mid. Those are the key ones we're gonna utilize. And we are also gonna be shown different types of data. By data, I mean in Excel, you have something that is a date. So when you put a date, Excel recognizes that the date format is correct. But it does not only stop there. It indirectly verifies the date for you. As an example, if you put something as a date, and you put the 31st of April, there is no such in a calendar. There is never a 31st of April. The month of 30th of April ends on the 30th day. Neither do we have the 30th of February. And the Excel is so clever that it is even able to identify that the year we have captured does not have a leap year, and therefore you cannot have the 29th of February willy-nilly. You cannot just put the 29th of February anytime. But for the purpose of this exercise, I want you to read over here. This we get from our Home Affairs, where a South African ID has 13 digits. The first 6 represent your date of birth, and then it is written differently here, but all it means is that if the 7th digit of on your ID is less than 5, then you are a female. If it's 5 or above, you are a male. I want that to be clear. You don't have to worry about all these to say 5,000 and whatever. No, just worry about the fact that this digit, which is digit number 7, if it's less than 5, it's a female. If it's 5 and above, it's male. And then the 11th digit, if it is 0, it means you are a South African by birth. And then if it is 1, that means you are South African by any other means. You could be married to a South African, whatever, who I'm not sure of other statuses that define permanent residence. Okay, so now, and also we have the checksum. This is a little complicated stuff, but I'm going to take you through it. But for now, I want us to be able to do this up to here. So we're going to extract that and then give you your date of birth and check if you are female, get your gender, and then check if you're a resident, just using mid, left, and right. Let's get on with it. Now, it started doing something here. So let us assume you've got an ID number, which is 78. I want you to notice that when you're starting with this, actually, because I've formatted that, I'm going to delete that. I want you to notice now, we said 78215295.085. Look at what happens when I press enter. Okay, it said 750821. You see how it looks? It does this simply because of the type there. Remember I told you about the types? So I must take this and make it a text. Okay? But when I do that, I must restart. I must type this thing from scratch. Okay, I must delete that and then put it here. Now notice that because it is text, it allows, it doesn't change the format. Now notice now that the data type there is general. Let us assume this person was born in 2005. So I'm going to write in exactly the same number. Look at what it does. When I take the same number and change this into a text, look what happens. 0, 5, 0, 8, 2, 1, 5, 2, 9, 5, 0, 8, 5. Look, it's a text. It retains the 0. Now I want you to notice something here. If I put 7508215295085, it works, but it gives a decimal place which you can always remove. But also note, if I say 05, so this one is a number. If I make this one a number and then type 0508215295,085, notice now that because it's a number, it removes the leading 0. Notice that. Therefore, when you're dealing with an ID number, always make sure that your data type is not a number, it is a text. This is very important. Remember, in numbers, if you put 01, it's 1. If you put 02, it's 2. But if I make this a text, if I change this and make this a text, then if I say 01, it remains 01. 02 remains okay, because I haven't changed it. If I change this to text, it's gonna be 02. So I want that to be the first thing you understand. Understand the fact that you have to first, whatever you put for ID, make everything there a text. That's the first thing you do, so that you don't lose a 0. Because if someone was born in the year 2000, it's actually going to remove 2 zeros. So let's get started. So the ID number is 7808215295085. Now, as I indicated, you're gonna see the practical usage of 2 Excel function, left, right, F3 Excel function, left, right, and mid. So I'm saying here, I want the digits from this cell. I want 6 digits on the left of this cell. So if I put 6 there, look what happens. Now this will not work. Yes, I'm happy we have seen that. This doesn't work. Why? Because a text cannot accept formulas. So I'm going to now change it to general, because remember, a text is just a text. It cannot do formulas. So I'm going to change and say left of this, comma 6 as indicated. Look, now it's working. It's working. Okay. Now here I wanted the year. Now I want you to give it a try. It's left of what? I want 78 only. Okay. You take 2, left of 2. Okay. There's another formula called right. I'm going to start with the easy one. I wanted the right of that. How many digits do I want? Is 2. So I've got 21. Now there comes the one that you may not be used to. It's called mid. I want to bring your attention to how it's done. Mid of this. So I'm looking at B2 and I want to start from digit number 1, 2, 3. I want to start from digit number 3 and take 2 digits. Look what it gives me. Are you happy with that? I hope you follow. Now I need to extract the year. The year must be correct. The year must be 1975, not 2078. Sorry. So in this case, I've done this this formula. I expect you not to understand what's going on, but this formula says if a number is more than 25, because we're in 2025, that number must start with a 19. Otherwise, that number must start with a 20. So, I know you may not understand how this works. So what I'm trying to say is, if a person was born in the year 2000, ID would have been prefixed by 00. So this thing works for me. If, for example, you were born in 2011, it could. So what I'm trying to say here, let's assume we are in the year 2027. What you are saying here is, if the first two digits are more than the year we are at, it means the person was born in 19. That's why I'm saying 19. Okay? But one thing we should have done here before we did all this was to check the length. It's very important that the length of a South African ID, as you can clearly see here, the length of a South African ID is 13. Therefore, in this case, we need to check. Okay? We need to check what you call ID number of digits. So we're trying to check to say how many digits in this ID. So we say we use the function called. Now we can't use the function. You know why? Because I've got text there. So this must be a number or general, so that you can use a formula. So we say we use the function called len. Len gives you the length of an ID. I hope this makes sense. Now, there's one trick, especially for administrators who work with IDs. There's one problem. You find that sometimes as you type, you put a space. Can you see how many digits we now have? Because 0 is counted, I mean a space which is at the end here, this space here, is counted as a digit. So what you need to do is to use the word. I'm introducing you now to a word called trim. What trim does, it takes away the space before and after the word. Let me give another example. Let's assume here you had started that with space 11, and then I've got space at the end, which is that one, and space here. And you also have a space before the start of an ID number. You may have even two spaces at the end. So I want you to notice that this formula counts those spaces as well. So to avoid that, you must use the word trim. Trim simply takes away the space before and after. Now the question is, what happens if I have a space there? My trim cannot remove a space that is in between the digits or the number. Trim takes the space before the number and after the number. That is why the space that I've just inserted here will remain there and will be counted. I don't know if that makes sense. So in this case, I've got 13. So this was very important because one of the factors is that an ID number must have 13 digits. And this, the ones we have now, we're confirming now that this ID, you need to trim. You need actually to trim to see. I want that to be very clear. And if you want to, you can say corrected ID. Corrected ID. And then you say equals to trim this. Then it's going to do it. So when you come here, you're no longer working with trim because it's already been trimmed. If you notice here, I'm using P, sorry. If you notice now, I said trim A. Oh, sorry. This is now I've made a mistake here. This is supposed to be, when I'm trimming A, it must give me this here without these things which come before and after. And maybe another thing, you may actually have a lot of